Oprah Winfrey. Our conversation was great, revealing, but we ran into a couple of technical problems along the way. I could hear her, she couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear her, she could hear me. I could hear her, she couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear her, she could hear me. Had Oprah laughing hysterically. We eventually got the glitches cleared up, and we were able to start the interview. The big focus was on her newest choice for the Oprah Book Club. She hasn't had the book club for nearly a year now. This is the first book she's selected since then, a selection of short stories told from the perspective of African kids. The book is something very close to Oprah's heart. A year since you picked a book for the book club. Why did it take so long?
It takes so long because I have a day job and a midday job and a night job and a lot of work to do, and I never choose a book, Anderson, unless I read it personally all the way front to end and personally love it. I normally am not a short story person, and a lot of people are not short story people. Just something about the cover image on this book of an African child and the shadow of the African child that really resonated with me. And I sat down to read the first story and then read the second story. After the second story, I needed to just take a break because I felt that one story more devastating than the next.
It's interesting, the title of the book, Say You're One of Them, which refers to a story in Rwanda during the genocide, but it can also be interpreted as the reader being asked to imagine that each reader is one of the kids in this story. It's sometimes hard, I think, for folks here at home to kind of put themselves in the shoes of somebody living in Africa. That's something even harder in terms of television, in terms of what you're trying to do to get people to do.
I will tell you this, that over the years, I probably have not selected more than 3 or 4 books that had settings in places other than the United States, because traditionally Americans want to read about Americans, and Americans don't like names of foreign countries, and they don't even want foreign names in their stories. That's just a fact. And so to choose this book and to have this book become #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, but more important even than that, because I didn't even know if that could happen. To me is the reaction from people in the United States and all over the world to the stories of these children in the book. First of all, I got an email from somebody who wasn't even aware of what had gone on in Rwanda. And to hear stories from people who've read this story, the stories in Say You're One of Them, and to hear how their hearts are opening up about conditions that children all over the world face all of the time, that to me is why we read.